Today, we are working on lesson 8-3. Define and use zero and negative exponents. We kind of talked about the negative exponents just a little bit yesterday, so hopefully that was a good preview for you. Starting off, just to warm up, in our review, simplify negative 3x and you're squaring it off. What would be our answer for negative 3x all squared? Grace?
Negative 3 squared x squared.
Yes, so I'd have negative 3 squared x squared, which we could simplify. Negative 3 squared would be just 9, but we'd have 9x squared. Okay. Number 2, making sure we understand our fractions. A cubed over 2b, and all of it is to the 5th power. Alex, what would we end up doing?
We distribute the exponent 5 to everything, so it would end up as a to the 15th power over 32 over b over 32 b to the 5th power.
And how did you get 32 again? Make sure we know.
So basically, I took 2 and multiplied by itself 5 times, so 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2.
Good. Remember when we have the exponent on the outside, we're multiplying it in. 2 to the 5th power. 4, 4, 2. 16 and 2. 32. So, great job, Alex. And the last one, very similar. S to the 8th all over 3s. And it is cubed. First, how would I simplify the first step? What would this change into? Tatum?
Distribute the exponent 3 to the other numbers.
Okay. And you get what?
3.
Okay.
And then 3 to the 3rd power and s.
All right. Would we be done then?
No.
Good. So what do we have to make sure we do now, Tatum?
Now we have to simplify the 3 to the 3rd power.
Good. So we're going to take this and we're going to subtract it from the 24. So we have s to the 21st power over 3 cubed, which we could get is
27.
good. 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27. Alright. Fairly easy. For the most part, you guys are doing very well. The only ones that get confused was when they had the negative sign in the beginning. Today, our goal is that I can simplify expressions using zeros and negatives. If you look at your foldable, page 3, 4, I like foldable. Pull out this little guy. Page 3, 0 exponents is on the bottom, and they tell you right away that a, so any number, bless you, to the 0 power equals 1. Doesn't matter what your number is. If you're to the first power, it's the number itself. But if you go to the 0 power, your answer is 1. The big thing is a, your base, cannot equal 0. Okay, so we don't say 0 to the 0 power is 1. A to the negative n, so any number to a negative exponent, is the reciprocal of a to the n. We looked at this yesterday real quick. I think it was Katie that asked about a negative exponent. So when we have a negative exponent, we're just going to make it in a fraction. It ends up becoming the denominator, and it becomes the positive. Once again, a cannot equal 0. Why can a not equal 0 on this example? Why do I not want to have a on the bottom of mine be 0? What happens if it does become 0? What do we call that? close. Not unreal. Undefined. You're getting there. So, if, I'm going to put this in here, if A equals 0, when, I'm going to make sure we have A over here, we say undefined. Okay. A to the n is the reciprocal of A to the negative exponent. So if we end up solving a problem and we have like 1 over a number to the negative exponent, you just reciprocate that and that becomes the numerator and it still keeps its power. Okay? So let's just try a few. I think it'll make sense once we do it. So on this one, the best thing is to show all your work and do it step by step. So I first have 3 to the negative second power. We would go ahead and say, I notice that it's a negative 2. So I'm going to change it from being 3 to the negative second power to 1 over 3 to the second power. Then, can we simplify that? Yeah, we know what 3 squared is. So we would just say it is 1 to the 9. 1 over 9. 1 9. On B, we'd get 1. Now, not to totally confuse this, but I want to make sure I have this one correct, so I did some extra research to make sure when there's a negative. The only difference would have been if they would have said this and that 0 is on the inside with it. What is happening here is they're saying what is the opposite of 7 to the 0 power. That answer could have came out to negative 1. I don't think you're going to see that, but if we ever get an answer with negative 1, there's a reasoning to it. But we should see it like this. Alright. C. 1/5 to the negative second power. Do it step by step. What would be the first thing you do? What do you think we'll do first? Yeah. Distribute that negative 2. So we would do it to the numerator and denominator. We'd write this out as 1 to the negative 2 over 5 to the negative 2. And we're going to have to do what now? We're going to have to do the flipping, the reciprocating. So this would end up being 5 squared over 1 squared. We can get rid of the 1 on the squared. So we'd have 5 squared, which we could actually do is 25. And like Katie was just asking, the 1 squared, we could get rid of the squared because it's 1. Do we have to say 25 over 1? No, we could just say 25. Last one, 0 to the negative 5th power. Work it out. Think what you think is going to happen. It's not going to become 0. Raha?
It's undefined.
Why?
Because the base is undefined.
Okay, so since it's a negative, we have to do the reciprocal. 1 over 0 to the 5th. 0's in our denominator. That's not possible. So we say undefined. Cannot do that. Yep. On the foldable pages 2 through 4, this is kind of a whole little review because we're going to close. I think we're set to take a quiz over everything on Monday, I think. So we're kind of putting all this together, and that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to try and put everything kind of together. that we're learning up to this point. So remember, power products, when you have base numbers that are the same and you're multiplying them, you add the exponents. Here we have the exponent on the outside, so you multiply your exponents. When it's a power to a power. Power products is kind of distributed. When we have it as a division problem, you're subtracting them. And when it's a fraction, we distribute it to both numerator and denominator. So, I'm going to pause our video. I want you guys to go through, work with a partner. Let's do A, B, C, and D. And then we'll come back up and see how we're doing there if we need any clarification. Alright, I'm going to go over the answers quickly. If I need to work through one a little bit more, let me know. On A, first thing, I had a couple people when I came around, they went to reciprocate the 6 to the negative 4th. But because I have the same base being times by it, first just add your exponents. So this would have been 6, and then negative 4 plus 4 would have been 6 to the 0 power. My answer is 1. If you would have reciprocated the first time, it would have been okay, because you would have had 1 over 6 to the 4th times 6 to the 4th, which would have been 6 to the 4th over 6 to the 4th. That would simplify to 1. That's just an easier way, though. This one, we're having it squared. I hope not many people did this. I personally wanted to make this mistake every time. I want to do 2, and I want to take it to the 4 squared. But remember, 4 is the base. It's 4 to the negative 2. So you're only times the 2 to its exponent. This should have been 4 to the negative 4th power, which means it would have became, whoops, I didn't do the fraction. You had to do the reciprocal, so it would have been 1 to the over 4 to the 4th power. And you could leave it like that, or you could find it. It would have been 16 times 16, which is 256. So you could say 1 over 256. Either one of those would have been okay. 1 to the 3 to the negative 4th, you're reciprocating because it's a negative 4. So it would have been 3 to the 4th. Make sure when you're reciprocating, I saw a couple people were leaving the negative with their exponent. It doesn't stay with it, it becomes positive. So then 3 to the 4th, you can either leave it as that or it becomes 81. And this one seemed to trip a couple people up. Okay, there's multiple ways to solve it, which is okay. Personally, since I have the same base and we're dividing, that rule that we looked at, if you look at your sheet, I'm going to subtract my exponents. So I had a negative 1 for an exponent, and then I had 2. So negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. So this should have equaled 5 to the negative 3rd power, which means to reciprocate 1 over 5 to the 3rd power, which is 125. Am I right? 1 over, still about to write that wrong, 125. If you would have reciprocated the first time, and you made this 5 negative 1, you would have 1 over 5 to the 1st power times 5 to the 2nd power. You'd still follow your rule. 1 over, add those exponents, you still would end up with 5 to the 3rd power. Alright. Which one? You want to look at one of these again? Which one?
I just didn't get to write it down.
Okay. Okay, go ahead and start looking at example 3. It's the last one we have to do today, A and B. I'm going to go ahead and pause again. Work with your neighbor, ask for help. We'll go over that, and then I'll give you guys your assignment for today. Okay, let's go to the very last one. I'm going to draw this one out just a little bit different at the beginning because I was just talking with Grace on it. But 2xy to the negative 5th all cubed. She pointed out, she understood how to do this. She said you were wrong.
I know.
I think you were right there. All right, so what this means is if I look at this, I really have 2 times x times y to the negative 5th. That was my problem. 2 times x times y to the negative 5th. And then I'm cubing that, which means I would have 2xy to the negative 5th times 2xy to the negative 5th times 2xy to the negative 5th. We have learned, though, if we have that power to a power here, I can just distribute this 3 to each one of these. So this would have been 2 cubed, x cubed, y, and then when we do look at our exponent, we'll do the multiplication. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. That's in blue how I would have done it. In the black is showing why, because I would have 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 to the 3rd power. I'd have x times x times x. X to the 3rd power. X to the negative 5th, negative 5th, negative 5th. You add those, you get negative 15. Now I'm not done yet because I have to simplify this one. Because the y is the negative 15, that means we're going to go ahead and reciprocate it. So I'd have 2 to the 3rd, x to the 3rd, all over y to the 15. And if you wanted to take 2 cubed and say that's 8, you could say 8x to the 3rd all over y to the 15. That's okay. Does that kind of help with, if you ever get confused on whether it goes all the way through, write it out how its multiplication is. Okay, last one. Okay, on this one, I have 2 times x. So is this negative 2 exponent, is it going to go to both the 2 and the x? When I do this one, am I going to distribute this? Am I going to put this into both of these? Yes. Because they are being multiplied to each other. So I would simplify this first. I'd look at only my numerator. So I'd have 2 to the negative 2nd power, x to the negative 2nd power, y to the 5th. Okay, I'm going to switch colors just to look at this. Now I'd look under here. Negative 4, x to the 2nd, y to the 2nd. Me personally, when I go to solve this one, I think the easiest way is go back to the rule. Quotient of powers property. So I'm going to look for the same number or base like here. Well, I have 2 to the negative 2 power. 2 to the negative 2. I can go ahead and I'm going to have to flip that underneath. So let's switch all colors. And I'm going to make this x negative 2, y to the 5th. This would be negative 4. And 2 to the squared now is going to be 4. It's going to be 4. So I'm going to look at that. If I look at this one, that became 2 squared. So it would have been like 1 over 4. So I'm just putting this 4 in. And then I still have my x squared, y squared. I would go ahead and continue to show my steps. It's going to take a little bit, but it's okay. I'm going to look at my x's. So I have a minus 2 up there and a positive 2 under there. We're going to subtract them. So I'd have the negative 2 exponent, show my work here, minus my 2 here, I'm going to end up with negative 4. So up top, I'd have x to the negative 4. This x squared is now gone because I'm combining my powers. When we're dividing, same base, x and x, subtract their exponents, and you stay on top. So it's x to the negative 4. My y was 5 minus 2. So that is 3. So y to the third. And underneath, these two are gone, and I still have negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. We're almost done with it now. What is the only thing I have left to do? The reciprocal of the x. Because our x is a negative 4. So this would finish out with y to the third negative 16 x to the fourth. That would be all. Okay. The important thing, if you look at this, show your work and go step by step. Okay? If you're confused with this, if this one still loses you, I know we're about to have a bell ring. When you do your homework today, I'll go back. When you go to do your homework today, come to Life Ed today. I'll look at it with you. I'll make sure to help you with it. Homework, page 506 through 507.
Wait, what?
Numbers 2, and then 2 through 44 even.
12. 40.
What did I say? You do number 2 and 12 through 44.
There you go.